Hello students, welcome to AIMS India online classes. This is a chemistry session. In this we are discussing about the chapter structure of atom. In this session, particularly we are going to discuss about electronic configurations of the elements and the principles which govern these electronic configurations. That means the principles which assist us in writing the electronic configurations of the different elements. About this all we are going to see in this session. Let us first consider the hydrogen atom for understanding the arrangement of electrons, as it contains only one electron, isn't it? Hydrogen has only one electron, so that you can understand easily the arrangement of electrons in it. The shorthand notation consists of the principal energy level, N value, and the letter representing sublevel or the subshell in which electron is located, L value, and the number of electrons present in that subshell is written as a superscript as shown here. This representation is called NLX notation. In this NLX notation, this N represents principal quantum number or the main energy level number. N represents main shell or orbit number in which electron is located. And this L represents the subshell in which electron located. In this particular orbit, there might be different subshells. In which subshell this electron is located is given information by this L value. And this X represents number of electrons present in that subshell. How many electrons are there in that subshell is denoted by X in this. So this is known as NLX notation. Okay. For the hydrogen atom having atomic number 1, the number of electrons is 1 because atomic number is 1. So number of electrons in that also will be 1 only. Then electronic configuration of this hydrogen can be written as 1s1, where this 1 representing the shell number, first shell. This means this electron is present in first shell, and this S represents the subshell, and this 1 represents number of electrons in that subshell. In this way, electronic configuration can be represented by using NLX notations. First we write the principal quantum number or main shell number. Beside that, we write the subshell symbol, and on the superscript position of this subshell, we represent a number of electrons accommodated in that subshell. This is known as symbolic representation of electronic configurations of the elements. Okay, as it is a simple one, we have taken as example is hydrogen electronic configuration. Okay, see here what is it representing. It is shown diagrammatically. 1s1, it is electronic configuration of hydrogen element because its atomic number is 1. It has only one electron. Now in this 1 representing principal quantum number or main energy level number, and S symbol S representing subshell, and 1 representing the number of electrons present in that. Okay. The electronic configuration can also be represented by showing the spin of the electron. Yes, even with the diagrammatic representation also we can give for electronic configurations of the elements. For the electron in hydrogen, as we have seen, the set of quantum numbers is 1, 0, 0 and plus half actually. So it may be taken as minus half or plus half as there is only one electron. Okay, these are the set of quantum numbers for the single electron in the hydrogen. This also can be represented by using diagrammatic symbol like this. So in this box represents S subshell. S subshell containing one orbital, and it is in the first shell, so we can say 1s. In this there is only one electron that is shown with the upward arrow mark, which represents single electron with the clockwise spin. So it can be written now as 1s1, or the box with one electron in the upward direction, both representing the electronic configuration of hydrogen atom only. For many electron atoms, we must know the electronic configuration of the atoms. Yes, as it is a hydrogen, it has only one electron, so simply we have represented here with a diagram. But for the multi-electron systems or multi-electron atoms which are having more electrons, for them first we have to know how to write the electronic configuration. The distribution of electrons in various atomic orbitals provides an understanding of electronic behavior of that atom, and in turn its reactivity also is known. So if we know the electronic configuration of an atom, then we can understand the behavior of that atom. Behavior in the sense whether it is a stable element or reactive element. These all properties of the atom or element will be known by knowing the electronic configuration of that element. So first we have to know how to write the electronic configuration of the element. Okay. So for writing the electronic configuration, we must know some principles. Those principles which give information, which gives an idea about writing the electronic configuration of the elements. Okay. The filling of electrons into different orbitals is governed by the following principles or rules. They are Aufbau principle, Hund's rule, and Pauli's exclusion principle. So if we are able to understand these three principles, then we can write the electronic configuration of any element with knowing the atomic number. Okay, first let us see these principles. First among them is a main principle or Aufbau principle. The word Aufbau in German means building up. Thus, this is also known as building up principle or building up rule. The building up of orbitals means the filling up of orbitals with electrons. This principle states that the electrons in an atom occupy the orbitals in the order of their increasing energy. In the other words, electrons first occupy the lowest energy orbitals available to them and enter into higher energy orbitals only when the lowest orbitals are completely filled with electrons. This is given by Aufbau principle. What is it stating? In an atom, electrons occupy first the orbitals with the lowest energy. Then only they enter into higher orbitals. After filling all the lower energy orbitals with completely electrons, then only higher orbitals will be occupied by electrons. This is given by Aufbau principle. Since the energy of an orbital in the absence of any magnetic field or electric field depends upon the principal quantum number value n and azimuthal quantum number value L. So the order of filling orbitals with electrons may be obtained from the following generalization also. Yes, we are telling the orbitals with the lowest energy are filled with electrons first. After completely filling these, only the higher orbitals will be occupying with the electrons. So to compare the energies of the orbitals, we can take in these principal quantum number and azimuthal quantum number into consideration like this. The orbital for which n plus L value is the lowest is filled first. Yes, the orbital with the lower n plus L value will be filled first. If there are two or more orbitals the same n plus L value, then the orbital with the lower n value will be occupied by electrons first. Okay, in this way, the order of filling of electrons into orbitals can be identified. How the orbital with the lower n plus L value will be occupied with the electrons first, and the orbitals, if they have two or more orbitals, if they have same n plus L value, then the orbital with the lower n value will be occupied with the electrons first. Okay, this is given by Aufbau principle. This is clearly explained in the Moeller diagram. The sequence in which the electrons occupy various orbitals can be easily remembered with the help of Moeller diagram. So this is called Moeller diagram, which is giving an idea of increasing order of energies of the orbitals, so that we can understand easily how filling of electrons is happening in the different orbitals of an atom. See, it is shown here in the diagram. First 1s orbital means into the first 1s orbital electrons are entering into any atom. After filling this 1s orbital, see where it is guiding, then 2s orbital is occupied. After completely filling 2s orbital, electrons entering into 3s, 2p, sorry. After filling 2p, electrons entering into 2s. So this is the increasing order of energy we can consider, because if we consider the n plus l values, it is an increasing order. And as it is told in the second point, if we observe n plus l value for 2p, what do we get for 2p n plus l value? N value is 2 and L value is 1, isn't it? So that N plus L value will be totally 3 for this 2p orbital. Whereas if you see for 3s orbital, N value is 3 and L value is 0 because S subshell it is. Total it becomes 3 here also. Now, as there are two orbitals the same N plus L value, the orbital with lower N value is filled with electrons first. So out of these 2p and 3s, which is having lower n value? This 2p. This 2p is having lower n value. So it is occupied with the electrons first. After filling this completely with the electrons, then electrons enters into 3s orbital. Okay, in this way, it is giving clear idea of filling of electrons into different orbitals. So the sequence of filling of electrons into orbitals is shown clearly with the help of Moeller diagram here. Did you understand? Okay, fine. The order of filling of various orbitals the electrons obtained in this rule is given here. See here. The order of filling of electrons into different orbitals is shown in the increasing order here based upon the n plus l values. First, electrons enter into 1s and then 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s. In this way, electrons are occupying different orbitals. Okay, next rule, Hund's rule. So, Aufbau principle explaining how different subshells occupying electrons. Okay, how electrons are filled into different subshells. So, based upon the n plus l value, electrons occupying the orbital or subshell which is having lower energy first. After filling these lower energy levels, electrons occupying higher energy levels. That is explained in Hund's rule. Aufbau principle. Now let us see Hund's rule here. This rule deals with the filling of electrons into degenerate orbitals of the same subshell. What are the degenerate orbitals? The orbitals present in a subshell are called generally degenerate orbitals. But simply to say, the orbitals the same energy are called degenerate orbitals. On the other way also you can say the orbitals the same n plus l value are called degenerate orbitals. That means the orbitals present in the same subshell generally. The orbitals present in the same subshell will be having same energy as well as same n plus L value also. These orbitals are called degenerate orbitals. For example, if you say S subshell, it has only one orbital. There is no confusion in that. But if we come to higher subshells like P, D, F subshells, they contain more than one orbital in them. We know P subshell has three orbitals. If we see D subshell, how many orbitals are there in that? Five orbitals, isn't it? If you go to F subshell, there will be seven orbitals. Then how these orbitals in a subshell are being filled, in which order they are being filled, that is explained in this Hund's rule. Hund's rule states that electron pairing takes place only after all the available degenerate orbitals are occupied by one electron each. Yes, as there are more than one orbitals in these higher subshells, the all the degenerate orbitals first will be occupied by single electron. Then only pairing of electrons takes place in these degenerate orbitals. This is the statement of Hund's rule. Let us see with an example now so that we can understand easily this. For example, consider carbon atom. We know the atomic number of carbon as 6. That means it has 6 electrons. Out of the 6 electrons, the first electron goes into 1s orbital of the first shell, that is K shell. Because out of all the orbitals, the orbital with the lowest energy is 1s orbital for every atom. So for any atom, first electron enters into this K shell first orbital, that is 1s orbital, in this way. So diagrammatically it can be represented like this. Okay. So out of 6 electrons, first electron enters into 1s orbital of K shell. And the second electron will be paired up with the first in the same 1s orbital. Okay. First, the second electron also will enter into the same orbital. So, and it will pair up the first electron. See here, the first electron is in the clockwise spin like this. Second electron coming and pairing this with the anti-clockwise spin. In this way, first orbital or 1s orbital is completely filled. Then the remaining electrons will occupy the higher orbitals. So now the third electron and fourth electron will occupy next orbital, that is 2s orbital, and they will pair just like the first two electrons in the 1s. So these third and fourth electrons will come and fill this 2s orbital of the second shell, that is L shell. See how it is shown? Yes, already 1s is completely filled with the first two electrons. So the third and fourth electrons are coming and filling this 2s orbital. Now how many electrons filled? Totally 4 electrons occupying these two orbitals. Now the fifth electron goes into one of the 2p orbitals. So in the second shell, along with the 2s subshell, there will be 2p subshell also, isn't it? Yes. We know this p subshell contains 3 orbitals. What are those 3? Px, py and pz. So there are 3 orbitals in the p subshell. Now this fifth electron will enter into one of these 3 2p orbitals. These will be represented as 2px, 2py and 2pz. Let us consider this fifth electron entered into 2px orbital. So it can be represented diagrammatically like this: 1s, 2s, and in the 2px orbital is occupied by fifth electron. Okay. Now how many more electrons are remain? One more electron, because total 6 electrons. Since these 3p orbitals are degenerate, yes, the orbitals present in a subshell are called as degenerate orbitals. Definitionally, to say the orbitals with the same energy are called degenerate orbitals. Now these 3 2px, 2py and 2pz orbitals are degenerate. So according to Hund's rule, this sixth electron, instead of being paired up with this fifth electron, it will be entered into either 2py or 2pz, but not into 2px. Thus, the configuration or electronic configuration of carbon can be written as 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1 and 2pz0. But it is not 2p 1s2, 2s2, 2px2. It won't be 2px2 because it won't pair up with that electron, because in the p subshell there are 3 orbitals. First, these 3 orbitals should be occupied with 1 electron each. Then only pairing will take in place. Okay. This also can be represented diagrammatically like this. So see here, this sixth electron will not pair up with this already existing fifth electron. It will first occupy either of these two empty orbitals. After filling these empty orbitals completely with the single electrons, then only pairing will be started. Okay. In the second, in the later notation, that means in the second diagrammatic representation, the arrows indicates electrons. These arrows are indicating electrons. Each arrow represents one electron. Totally how many arrows are there? 6 arrows. That means 6 electrons are represented in this way. And the arrow which is shown in the upward direction represents an electron with the clockwise spin. And the arrow which is shown with the downward arrow mark, that represents an electron with the anti-clockwise spin. Okay, that is about Hund's rule. So Hund's rule guiding us how to fill the electrons into different orbitals present in a subshell. First one, how electrons are occupying the different subshells was shown by Aufbau principle. Second one, in a subshell, how orbitals are being occupied by the electrons is shown by Hund's rule. Now let us see in the same Hund's rule some extension. Hund's rule is also known as Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity rule states that for a given electronic configuration, the term with the maximum multiplicity falls lowest in energy. That means simply to say the atoms with the more number of unpaired electrons will be more stable and hence they'll be in the least energy state. That is why maximum atoms will try to attain maximum number of unpaired electrons. That is why the subshells or the orbitals present in a subshell first will be occupied by single electrons, then only pairing will be taken place. So according to this rule, electron pairing in p, d and f orbitals cannot occur until each orbital of a given subshell contains one electron in each, or it is singly occupied. So first all the degenerate orbitals will be occupied by single electron, then only pairing will be taken place. Okay, this is explained clearly by Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Okay, now Pauli's exclusion principle. The third one, Pauli's exclusion principle. In 1925, Wolfgang Pauli proposed exclusion principle. This principle is very useful in construction of an atom. Okay, according to this principle, no two electrons in an atom can have the same values for all the four quantum numbers. Yes, according to Pauli's principle, no two electrons in an atom can have same set of four quantum numbers. So this third principle guides us how electrons are occupying, how electrons are having their self spin, and how many electrons can be accommodated in each orbital. First principle guiding us how the subshells are occupied by electrons. Second principle, Hund's rule, guiding us how the orbitals present in a subshell are occupied by electrons. Now, this Pauli's principle guides us how electrons are occupying a particular orbital, how they are oriented, how their spins are existing, how many electrons can be accommodated by an orbital. These informations are given by Pauli's exclusion principle. It states that no two electrons in an atom can have same set of four quantum numbers. Well, let us see this with an example. For example, one s orbital of helium atom, there are two electrons, isn't it? Yes, helium has atomic number 2 and its configuration is 1s2. That means the 1s orbital of helium has two electrons. According to the concept of quantum numbers and Pauli's principle, the quantum numbers of these two electrons can be written like this. See, this is a diagrammatic representation of electronic configuration of helium. These are the two electrons, one with the clockwise spin, the other with the anti-clockwise spin. Now, if we write the quantum numbers for these two electrons, we get this as like this. See, for the first electron, n value, that means principal quantum number value is 1, and azimuthal quantum number value from the subshell s 0, and m value, l value is itself it is 0, so m also will be 0. Now s value, that means the spin quantum number value, as it is in the upward direction, it represents the clockwise spin, So S value is given as plus half for this. If you see for the second electron, as these two are in the same orbital, n value, L value and M value will be same for this also, but only spin is being different. So S value will be minus half. Okay, in this way we are getting the four quantum numbers for these two electrons. If you observe, first three quantum numbers are being same, only one is being differed. So in this, the plus and minus halves before half refers to the clockwise and anti-clockwise spins of the electrons respectively. Yes, this plus and minus representing clockwise and anti-clockwise spins of electrons. Thus, the two electrons having same values of n, L and m could have different values of s. That means their spins are in opposite direction. One with the clockwise spin, the other with the anti-clockwise spin. So what we can conclude from this, in an atom, any two electrons if we compare, they might have maximum of three quantum numbers same. At least they will be differed with the fourth quantum number. That we can give as a statement from the Pauli's principle that no two electrons in an atom have same set of quantum numbers. They might have maximum of three quantum numbers same, but they'll be different at least in one quantum number value. This leads to a very significant observation that an orbital can have maximum of two electrons and these two must have opposite spins. So from this principle, it is very clear significance, that is, an orbital can have maximum accommodate two electrons and these two will be the opposite spin. What happens if you write the third electron in the same 1s orbital? That should be either in the clockwise spin or anti-clockwise spin. Suppose we considered the third electron also in the same way and it is shown in the clockwise spin. Now what happens? This first electron and this third electron both will get the same set of quantum numbers, which is incorrect according to Pauli's principle. Okay, which is not possible. In that way, it is limited. The number of electrons that can be accommodated in an orbital is limited to 2, and those two also will be the opposite spins, one with the clockwise spin, the other with the anti-clockwise spin. Okay, this is about the third principle. For example, two electrons in an orbital can be represented by either these four ways. So it can be represented like this: first with the clockwise and the second with the anti-clockwise, or first with the anti-clockwise and the second with the clockwise. Generally we take this, but it is also can be considered as correct only. Cannot say wrong. These also other two representations. Now, in first and second representations, the two electrons have opposite spins. That is, if one is revolving in the clockwise spin, the other is in the anti-clockwise spin, and vice versa. But in the third and fourth representations, the two electrons have same spin. That means either in the clockwise spin like this or in the anti-clockwise spin. What happens if both are in the same spin? They will get all the four quantum numbers the same. Quantum number values will be same for these two electrons, which is not possible and which is in controversy with the Pauli's principle. Okay, in the light of Pauli's exclusion principle, the representations 1 and 2 are correct, while third and fourth are incorrect. So one should be the clockwise spin, other should be the anti-clockwise spin. That is only correct. This limits the number of electrons into an orbital as 2. This is about the three principles which help us in writing the electronic configuration. We say the principles which govern the electronic configurations of the elements. Did you understand? So by keeping these three principles in mind, we can write the electronic configuration of any element if we know the atomic number, if you know the number of electrons in it. Okay. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our YouTube channel AIMS Today for latest updates and recorded videos.